Hello, everyone. So, most coaches don't fail because they're bad at what they do. They fail because their business is manually run. They're answering the same questions, following up late, chasing payments, rebuilding systems every 6 months. And the worst part is they already pay for the tools, they just aren't using the automation correctly, or they're not using them correctly. And so today I'm going to be breaking down the only 5 automation tools that I actually use after years and years of trying pretty much everything that's out there. And then how they all work together and why most coaches waste an entire year trying to figure this out on their own. So, if you're a coach, a consultant, an expert, course creator in the wellness space, relationship space, business space. What else is there? I don't know. All kinds of spaces. And if you have a service-based business, then this is going to be for you. And if you don't want to, like, if you're ready to start to scale without burnout, this will save you time, money, and sanity. So, quite a few years ago, my business looked successful from the outside, but behind the scenes, it was exhausting. It's probably a good word. I had leads coming in, clients booking calls, money was flowing, maybe not consistently, probably more inconsistently, but I had money coming in. Everything relied on me, though, remembering who to follow up with, what stage someone was in, whether a client was stuck, and whether someone had paid or not. So every day felt very reactive. I would wake up already kind of behind and open up my laptop and immediately start putting out fires. So I did what most people do. I added more tools, I watched more YouTube videos, tutorials, I joined more programs, and I tried to optimize everything. And eventually I realized something that changed how I build businesses forever. More tools don't create leverage, better systems do. So I stripped everything down to these 5 tools. I built the right automations around them and stopped running my business manually, basically. So let's start with the first tool. The first tool is high level. I don't know if you probably already heard of it. It's huge. I love it, love it, love it. It basically got rid of so many things that I was using, had everything kind of all over the place. This brought it into one. Actually, I'd say HubSpot is similar, but HubSpot was extremely expensive. And because I have tens of thousands of leads, connections, um, contacts, basically, that have opted in for my into my business and who want what I have to offer, it just kept going. The price just kept going up and up and up. That tool alone, at one point, I think I was paying $1,200 a month just for that. And then High Level took over a lot of that stuff so I could get rid of it. It is good for, I would say, like really high corporate, huge corporations, is probably good for that. But if you're a solopreneur or coach, consultant, expert, on a smaller scale, I mean, High Level can probably do everything that almost everything that HubSpot could do anyway. But anyway, the first tool I use is High Level, and this is really the backbone of everything. Most people treat High Level like this fancy contact list, but that's a really big mistake because, and I see this constantly. A coach will tell me, "Oh, I already have High Level." And sometimes called Go High Level, or I think their address is Go High Level, but it's actually High Level. So they'll say, "Oh, I already have it," but when I look inside there, there's no clear pipelines, no logic behind the automations, and no real structure that actually reflects how people buy. So leads come in, but then nothing really happens unless the coach manually intervenes. Let me tell you a mistake story that I see all the time. A coach runs an ad or posts content, right? The leads start flowing in. They get excited, but because it's called a CRM, customer relationship management tool, because the CRM isn't structured properly, leads are maybe tagged inconsistently or follow-ups are kind of generic, and nobody really knows who's hot, who's not. So then what happens is these hot leads go cold. And speed is king when it comes to prospects reaching out for what you actually have to offer. So qualified prospects, maybe they don't hear back or they hear back after too long. And when I say too long, I'm talking like a minute, 5 minutes tops, right? You want to get back to people who reached out and who are interested in what you have to offer. And the coach just assumes it's a problem. The problem is maybe traffic, and it's not. The problem is the system doesn't think. And what most coaches do wrong with high level is they build automations like checklists instead of decision trees. And they say, if someone opts in, send these 5 emails, but they never ask the real question. What if this person books a call immediately? Or what if they click, but they don't book? What if they ghost? Right? That happens all the time. What if they reply with a question? Everyone gets the same experience regardless of their intent. And that's not automation, that's bulk messaging with software. So when high level is automated correctly, everything changes. Every lead is routed based on their behavior, based on their intent. So every follow up is contextual. Every pipeline stage exists for a reason. And instead of guessing who to follow up with, the system tells you. So instead of reacting to chaos, you respond to signals, or maybe you don't even have to physically respond because you can build out AI agents, AI bots to handle a lot of the stuff automatically. So you can just kind of look and see what's happening and see that it's all taken care of, or you might be able to jump in at some point if you need to. But for the most part, it's like having these employees for pennies on the dollar. You can't even outsource it to the Philippines for how good these agents are with the AI technology that already exists. Like it's really good already. And so when that happens, you stop chasing people and start having conversations at the right time. And that alone removes hours and hours and hours of mental load every single week. And that's what makes this one of the best tools I use to save a ton of money. It's just such a game changer. So if you have any questions about high level or how it works, or if it would be a good fit for your business and where you're at, just put it in the comments below, and myself or someone from my team will get back to you and we can walk you through, ask you questions about what stage your business is at, if you're just at the beginning, if you're been trying other things, whatever. And we can see if it's a good fit for you, and give you some options. Anyway, the second tool is ChatGPT. I mean, I use this bunch of them. I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use Poe, I use Gemini. I use a bunch of them depending on what I'm using it for. But I use ChatGPT the most for what I do. And also because I've trained it in such a way that it just knows me. It knows my business. It knows my ideal client. It knows my everything. It knows my, not my everything. It knows my who I am, my values, what I stand for, who I want to work with, who I don't want to work with, um, my standards, all that good stuff, right? All the offers that I have, it already knows. So I can just basically ask it simple prompts at this point. And then it just is amazing. Anyway, but um, so I use ChatGPT, but not the way most people use it. So most coaches use ChatGPT like a copywriter. They ask it to write captions, emails, hooks, or content ideas. And that's helpful, but it barely scratches the surface. So I use ChatGPT to remove decision fatigue. And here's one mistake that I used to make is I used to go into sales calls with like 10 tabs open, from CRM notes, form responses, message threads, random reminders. I'd spend 5 to 10 minutes just trying to remember who I was talking to and why they booked the call. And by the time the call started, I was not already totally drained, but I was already, yeah, I was like, "Oh, I'm not into this." So multiply that by multiple calls per day, and you're exhausted before the real work even begins. So what most coaches do wrong is they use AI reactively instead of strategically and proactively. They ask questions like, "What should I post today?" instead of, "What decision would move the business forward right now?" And when ChatGPT is automated correctly, it just becomes a thinking partner. Um, And before a call, I can get a clean summary. Although I use another tool called Fathom for that, but it's with AI as well. And then where the lead came from, what content they engaged with, what problem they think they have, what objections they're likely carrying. And then after a call, I don't manually recap. The AI just helps summarize whether the lead was qualified, whether they're a now, later, or never, and then what follow-up path actually makes sense. So for clients, AI helps spot patterns, which is really important too. So if someone is disengaging or falling behind or repeating the same issue, the system flags it early before that churn happens, because it's more expensive to get a new client than to or a new lead, right? Or a new client out of a new lead. It's easier, less expensive to get a client from an existing lead that you've already paid for. Does that make sense? Or that you've already worked with or whatever. So when this is set up correctly, again, you stop reacting. You stop carrying everything in your head, and then you show up sharper, calmer, and more confident because decisions are supported, not improvised. So yeah, I think that's it for that one. So the third tool I use is Google Calendar. And this is where deals really quietly die. This sounds basic, but it's one of the biggest revenue leaks that I see. So a mistake story, I like to give these mistake stories because, it's like, don't do this, do this. Is a lead, if a lead is interested, they apply or message you, right? Then the friction kind of starts. Oh, here's my availability. Does this time work? Oh, sorry, that time slot's gone. Let me send another link. By the time the call is booked, again, that emotional momentum is gone. And what most coaches do wrong is they treat scheduling like logistics instead of a conversion. So every single step between that interest and booked call, really it kills momentum. So when Google Calendar is automated correctly and integrated into your system, like high level, the booking becomes frictionless. Someone clicks, they pick a time, they get reminders, they show up prepared, they get homework, they get like whatever, right? Whatever you want to send them. Um, so and reschedules also are handled automatically. Cancellations are handled automatically. No shows drop dramatically when that happens. Nobody's chasing anyone, right? So when this is just automated properly, you don't just save time, right? You protect your revenue because the easier it is to take the next step, the more people actually take it. Make sense? If that makes sense so far, let me know in the comments below. Let's move on to the fourth tool. So the fourth tool is Stripe. So Stripe is a payment processor. It's like PayPal or whatever, except for Stripe it integrates easily with high level. It integrates easy with other things. You've got Square as well that you could use, but Stripe is really, I used to not like them. I had a lot of run-ins with them, but once we figured out, once I got all my, what was it called? The privacy and the terms of use and all that stuff, everything died down and now they're great. So Stripe, most coaches say that they use Stripe, but what they really mean is they accept payments, and that's not automation. So again, a mistake that I constantly see is a coach signs a client, sends a payment link manually and waits. And sometimes the payment goes through, sometimes it fails, sometimes it gets forgotten. And then comes the awkward follow-up. Hey, just checking in on that invoice, blah, 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 right? That's not scalable. And so what most coaches do wrong is they separate money from the systems. So payments should trigger actions automatically. And when Stripe is automated correctly, everything just flows. Subscriptions run without effort. So especially if you've got payment plans and things like that, um, the failed payments will just retry automatically. They're scheduled to go out at a certain time automatically. So you don't have to think about it. It's just, here's the link, set it and forget it. For as long as however many payments they need to make or whatever. And then also receipts are sent instantly. Onboarding triggers the moment that the money clears, right? So there's no chasing, there's no awkward messaging, there's no stalled moments. And When money is automated, guess what else happens? The revenue stabilizes, yeah? And stable revenue changes everything. It changes how you sell, how you lead, how you think about growth, all that good stuff. All right, the fifth tool is Vimeo. And this is where scale actually happens. So here's another mistake story. Um, a coach onboards every client live, let's say, right? They explain the same process over and over again, or they teach, they do one-on-one coaching live. Okay. So this answers the same question. They feel busy, they feel helpful, but they're trapped. So most coaches do what they do wrong is they equate live time with value. And this stems from what I call the employee versus empire mindset, right? Where our society teaches us to be employees, it teaches us to be workers. Our whole society is set up this way. Go to work, or sorry, go to school, get good grades, go to, get a good job, work, 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 do, trade your time for money, be a good employee, be a good worker. Our television, our friends, our family, our teachers, everyone around us teaches us to be a worker. So when you have your own business, when you become a coach, also, I don't know if you know about that quadrant. There's the SBI quadrant from Robert Kiyosaki. It's the employee is E, S is self-employed, B is for business, and then the I is investor. So E trades time for money. Self-employed also kind of trades time for money. Their business doesn't work without them having to show up. Business owners have the systems in place where if they show up or not, things are working and they're making money regardless. Investor is totally passive. They invest and they don't have to show up at all. So that's the quadrant. But anyway, most coaches and consultants and experts, when they first start a business anyway, or even the reason why they're exhausted is because they're working from this employee mindset, I call it. Because how would they know? It's like up here in their blind spot. We're not taught this in school, right? So that's one of the first things I work on with my clients, because without that, nothing works. You can't have time and money freedom if you're trading time for money. There's a ceiling to it. We only have 24 hours in a day. We only have 7 days a week, right? So you can only, if you're trading your time for money, it's not value. Value is trading, when you're a coach, consultant, and expert, is the outcome you provide. Okay. Trading the amount that the the dollar or the price that you charge, let's say, is equivalent to the outcome that you provide. It's not equivalent to time. And a lot of people, they can't wrap their head around that. Even clients that I've been working with for months, they still are like, oh, well, the time thing, yeah, it's I figured I'm gonna spend like 10 hours with them, so it's gonna be this much. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And some people get it right away. I had one client that was charging $60 an hour, and within 3 weeks of working together, she was charging 3,000 for the outcome that she provided for her clients, right? So it's a mindset shift, but and once you see it, you can't unsee it. But anyway, this is what people get wrong. They trade their time, or they equate the time with value. In reality, that repetition just kills growth. So when your back to Vimeo, is automated correctly, your business becomes consistent because every client gets the same high quality onboarding. They get the same um, repeatable information, right? If you're finding yourself working one-on-one and repeating yourself time over time over time with each client, and don't get me wrong, some clients, or most clients, almost everybody, does need that one-on-one to get like a really um that transformational result, right? Or that transformational outcome. They do need that one-on-one time because everybody's different. But if you find yourself repeating yourself over and over again with each client, this is what I'm talking about, that these things can be recorded, put on Vimeo to save time, right? And the onboarding process is usually the same as well. So when you have it when you're using it that way, right, every explanation is clear and it's repeatable. Every expectation is just set once, and one great video replaces hundreds of conversations. Does this make sense? Let me know if you have any questions about this in the comments. And then more importantly, it really frees you to focus on what actually moves the business forward and to be able to go deeper with your clients because you're able to show up as your best self, right? And to really make that impact. So here's the truth. Most coaches already have these tools, but they're disconnected, partially built maybe, or just kind of duct taped together. So the coach becomes the system. And that's why people waste a year or more tweaking, fixing, rebuilding, and starting over. And not because they're incapable, but because automation takes strategy, not tutorials. And I hear also a ton with most of my clients. I'd say 60 to 70% of my clients, they say, I hate tech. I hate tech. I don't want to do that. They want to be helping people, right? They don't want to be setting up tech all the time, right? They just want to have it set and forget it. So if you want this set up properly end to end without losing the next year figuring it out, I do offer a free automation assessment, which I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this video. And what we'll do is we'll hop on a Zoom call. We'll take a look at what you already have, what's working, what's broken, and what should be automated next. And it's no pressure, no pricing talk, just clarity. So click the link in the description here to book your free assessment if that's something that interests you. Because automation isn't about doing more, it's about removing friction so that your business can finally scale without carrying everything. Make sense? So if this helped, make sure you subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. The next video is, I can't remember, what was it? What did we talk about last week? I think it was also automation. Anyway, click the link here, click the next video, and I will catch you